Hello and welcome again to another episode of Battle Ready.
Ready.
And today we thought we would talk about allies.
Yep, I thought you were waiting for me to say it.
Yeah, I was, and then you didn't say it.
Oh, well, I didn't. I thought you were just looking at me for a second.
So allies. First, Drake, what are allies?
Allies. So if I'm fielding a Gloomspite Gets unit, I can say, you know what? I'm gonna bring in some Cruel Boys, and I'm allowed to have up to 400 points from my normal army of Cruel Boys.
Yeah. So allies are where you can take models from different army factions and bring them into your army. Like
as
Rick
long
said,
as the book allows it.
Like Rick said, you can have up to 400 points in a 2,000 point game. You can have up to 400 points
and
1,000 point 200 points.
Yeah.
So there's a limit, and your army has to ally with them. So at the bottom of your pitch where it says like, here's your battle line, and here's your you go all the way down. At the bottom it says who your allies can be. That way you don't have Stormcast Eternals allying with Nurgle. Exactly, right? That wouldn't make sense. So that's what allies are. Now, a couple things. Allies don't benefit from the allegiance abilities.
Yeah.
So if you've got some coalesced Seraphon and they're getting, their -1 to be hit, or actually, let's not choose them. Let's choose Starborn for Seraphon, who can use that heroic power to warp around the board. Well, they can't warp their allies.
Nope.
Right? So they're not going to benefit from any of the ally allegiance abilities.
And
they don't bring their allegiance abilities with them.
No, so if you bring Cruel Boys, they won't be sticking their weapons with poisons, which
That's right.
Stupid.
Their weapons won't have poisons on them.
In a big wall, they will.
Yeah. So there's that. They also will take up your slots for leaders and monsters and things like that. But can be useful. Now, we
don't use them.
Hardly ever. In fact, I generally, and this is 100% personal preference, but I generally don't like even the idea of allies. If I want to play Daughters of Cain, I want to play the Daughters of Cain. I don't want to play Daughters of Cain, except for this one guy.
Yeah.
Or if I want to play Stormcast, I want the Golden Warriors marching forward, not the Golden Warriors, and then there's this one Lumineth guy.
Yeah.
And just,
there's one faction there's one sub-faction that requires an ally.
Yeah, so there's a Caradron faction. One of the sub-factions, which gives the priest
a power,
but Caradrons don't have any priests. So you have to ally in a priest, and then you would get that sub-faction ability.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely reasons to do it. Now, so we don't have a whole lot of experience with allies.
And I only ever used them when I wasn't when my Gloomspite list got messed with.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't, and it's 100% personal preference. We could be just completely missing out on some good stuff. But what I wanted to talk about too was what makes for a good ally. What's a good ally?
Like something you don't have in the standard army.
Yeah, so they need to fill a role that you don't have, but also I think it's something where the reason they're good comes from their war scroll.
Yeah, it's from their war scroll.
Because if the reason they're good is because they interact really well with the this allegiance abilities, like a Cruel Boys is a great example.
Oh yeah,
or a lot of Night Haunt, right?
Oh yeah, Night Haunt gang. There's wards.
They might be great because they've got 6-up ward,
charges,
ethereals, right? But they're not taking any of that with them.
I feel like that's a little silly. They need to update that.
So I think that's so you need to make sure that the war scroll itself is pretty good. So Drake, can you think of any war scrolls that would make for good allies?
In the one Seraphon army, there are those one flame-spitting lizards of doom.
Yes.
Those could be good allies if you don't have like artillery or something.
Used to be called salamanders. Now they're called Eyes of Chotek.
Look through it. Now maybe eyes. I don't know.
So yeah. Same thing with like Fellwater Trolls, right?
Yeah,
they've got that spit ability.
Amazing.
And it comes from their
war scroll.
Their war scroll. So it doesn't matter that they're not under the light of the bad moon, right? They're still going to have that ability. One that I thought of was the Lord Relictor from Stormcast Eternals, because he is a priest. He's got 2 good prayers on his war scroll, and he gets +1 to chant on his war scroll. So that gets you a priest, 2 good prayers, one's offensive, one's defensive, and a fairly reliable caster or chanter, I guess. So he makes again. If you've already got a bunch of priests, you're playing an army and you got a bunch, right? You don't want to just bring him in for funsies because you can probably already do stuff. But if that's a role you're missing and
Like
you really want to bring that in,
yeah,
there you go. Who else do you think?
we like trolls in general. They're just so hideous, hard to kill, even if they don't have the healing power.
I don't know. I mean, I think
regeneration's on their war scroll.
It is, and I think there's reasons that think well maybe rock guts or maybe some other stuff, but their bravery's low. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think when you're looking for an ally, you really want to look for something that
you can't get in your
exactly. It has something unique. It has something interesting and different, whether it's troll spit or a good chanter or
versatility.
Their war scroll happens to have a really good spell that would work with you for whatever reason. That's really what you're looking for with an ally. Because if you just say, hey, I want to bring in this unit that hits real hard, your army probably has something that hits real hard.
Probably.
Right? Probably.
Not Night Hunt.
Maybe Night Hunt.
What would hit hard for Night Hunt?
Well,
like in the Night Hunt faction.
Well, they don't have the best hammers in the world.
Oh, no.
But Kurdos can hit.
Yeah.
Lady Olinder, with some of her abilities, can hit. Right? Especially that roll and on 2-up you suffer that many mortals.
Yeah.
Right? That's good.
That's pretty good.
So there are things. But if there's something unique, something special about a war scroll, where it's like, oh, this guy is one of the few people in the games who cuts through ward saves. So like Sigvald might be a good. You're worried that in your local meta, a lot of Nurgle players, a lot of wards hanging around, a lot of death
armies.
And you're like, well, I'm gonna, since I'm already playing Chaos, I'm gonna ally in Sigvald here and get a way to cut through wards.
Does Sigvald even ally with anything?
Yes.
Or Slaanesh?
Slaanesh allies with, I think Tzeentch or Nurgle can ally with Slaanesh, and I'm almost positive that Slaves of Darkness can too.
Oh yes, that's in every generic Chaos tome. It's special rules for.
They have special ally rules, so we won't worry too much about that.
Yeah, that's for very few factions.
Yeah, I think that's really what you want to look for with an ally. Another one that I hear gets tossed around a lot is the Celestant Prime, because he's got that whole ability where he stays in the heavens and then he comes down with Galmaraz later, right? You don't see that in a lot of places, so
yeah, because every time you stay in the heavens, your Galmaraz gets better.
Yeah, he gets more attacks.
So you want to throw him down round 3, so it's crazy.
So yeah, I think if you look at the allies, the bottom of your list, you're looking through your Stormcast, you're like, ooh, allies with all these order armies. I get to choose all these different units. No. I mean, I think what you really want to do is say, all right, my army has a particular need, and there happens to be a really cool war scroll with abilities that I can bring in. Then you want to think about allies. But like we said, if you just think, hey, I really need some kind of something fast, your army probably has something fast in it.
Unless it's Nurgle.
Yeah.
Well, rot flies.
So, yeah, I think that's where allies come in. Like I said, we don't like, or at least I don't like making lists with allies. When I want to play, I want to play Seraphon. I want all the Seraphon there. I don't want some stupid Stormcast wizard hanging out with the Scaly Boys. I want to play the army. So, yeah. But I would be really interested to know your thoughts on allies. Put them in the comments below. Let us know what you think. If we're overlooking some incredible power pairs or power options, really interested. And then there's also a couple of weird allies like Gotrek, who can basically go into any order army.
Or like the 4 Gargants that go into any army.
Right? The mercenary Gargants. Even though I think they're more than 400 points, you're still allowed to take one into each army. There's one for order, chaos,
and death.
And then destruction has them.
Yeah, right? Destruction is Gargants.
Right.
Essentially.
So there are little flavors, little tweaks on all of this. But overall, I like playing the one army. I don't like using a lot of allies.
Same.
But that doesn't mean they're not useful. And that doesn't mean that it's wrong or bad to not use them. It just means personally I don't like it, but you might love it. And in fact, one thing that I think is really cool is if you're interested in some kind of a narrative campaign, especially one that takes place over a long time, it could be cool to have, say, a Stormcast army, and you're like, well, we are fighting and overthrowing chaos, and so after this battle, maybe we recruit a cities unit. And then after this battle, oh, maybe we recruit a Caradron unit. Oh, and then after this battle. And then by the end of the campaign, you have an army with
30 million.
a bunch of different units from a bunch of different orders, and it represents the people coming together to overthrow chaos. Stuff like that. There could be some really cool, really interesting ways to do it. But when you're just playing a 2,000-point game, it's not my cup of tea. So anyway, final thoughts?
The old way that allying used to work was weird.
What was the old way?
Like how one was they can just ally, like green. Then yellow was they can ally, but they have to
that wasn't allies. That was called Coalition of Death, I think. But that was for 4-player games. And then the 2 players on us that were helping each other had special rules based on how friendly the factions were.
So one of them was...
So there was like friendly, where you're just together, and some were like standoffish, where their abilities couldn't work on each other. And then there was one that was like...
They have to stay 3 inches away from each other, and you lose a command point.
Yeah, that was like suspicious or whatever. And then there was some that's just no. So like Stormcast and all the Chaos armies, it was just like, no, you can't. No. You can't do that.
Fire Slayers could ally with Khorne, but they would have 3 inches apart, no command point.
Fire Slayers were allowed to ally with a lot of different stuff in the suspicious one, even Chaos armies, because Fire Slayers are all about that Urgold. So if you have a Khorne guy who says, hey, buddy, I need you to go kill these guys, and I happen to have a lot of Urgold, Fire Slayer's like, okay.
Fine.
We'll do it.
We'll kill him.
So anyway, that's a whole separate topic. Let us know what you think in the comments. This has been another episode of Battle Ready. Thanks so much for watching.